Bill, you probably don't want to talk about this, but it's a really big deal. Winning 700 games. Can you just talk about the people, the fraternity that you will join, what those other coaches have accomplished, and also if you could talk about your dad and the influence that he's had on you.
Well, I hadn't thought about that one time.
I'm sure you have.
But I did know it was coming up because somebody said it the other day. The fraternity of coaches that I will be joining will all be elderly, which is not great for me, I guess, because only old guys can win that many games because they've been around so long. But yeah, it'd be great. You know, hopefully it's not close to the end, but 700 is a pretty big number. You know, when you start out at Oral Roberts and you're losing 18 in a row and go I think 6-21 and then 10 and 18 your first 2 years, and then somehow, you know, kids flipped it. But yeah, it's great, and you know, there's players deserve the lion's share of the credit, and assistant coaches on that number. But you know, so many people in the path of allowing you to be around for a long time is certainly what makes those things special to them, probably every bit as much to me, and nobody more important obviously than my father and the role he's played in showing my life, but in teaching me the values I think that goes into what would probably be being a successful coach. So you know, I learned more from him than anybody. Thanks for coming, everybody.
Hey, Bill, any update on Jalen?
Not officially, but it's looking less and less like there is a potential to return this year. As I think I told you guys, you know, we wanted to check out his foot, and we thought he was making really positive progress, and he still is. But then he hurt his back and got those back spasms and missed a week, and he's just now back to where he can probably attempt to try to go 100% or be close to it. But even with that, the you know, the limited reps and things like that, I at this point in time, and he agrees with me that we will not make a final decision because, you know, something could happen in the game with somebody else or whatnot in the next week or so. But it's looking less and less like he'll play this year, and we should have a definite decision on it. You know, hopefully within the next, you know, week or so. But I told him, and he told me, there's no reason to make it definite right now because you know, something could happen that could change this. But the way things are today, I don't see him playing.
Bill, you've talked often about your three-point shooting. Where do you stand right now with how you feel about it?
Well, I think that we're better shooters than what we shot. You know, our starters in the league are shooting 21, 27, 29. You know, and they're obviously over the course of the season, it's much higher than that. But you know, in a small sample size of 9 games, we haven't shot it very well. But I know that we're better shooters than that. Devon Dotson is a really, really good college shooter. He just hadn't made shots yet. And Oach is shooting like 35 for the year. He just hasn't shot. So if he's shooting 35 and 29 now, that means that obviously he was shooting pretty well before conference play started. So we know he's capable. And Marcus hadn't shot many, so his numbers aren't as high. But so, you know, small sample size, you only shoot 14, you know, you're obviously, it could be really good, or it can also not look so good just because of the small sample size. But I think it's going to be a situation, though, we're putting too much pressure on our defense, and we're putting too much pressure on our offense to try to get easy baskets if you can't stretch it. And so I think it also goes to show that we probably played better than what some people may think we played offensively, just because with the ball doesn't go in the hole, it's harder to score in generating other offense from inside the arc. So it's something that has to happen. We got to start making shots in order to give us our highest ceiling. But it doesn't mean you have to make shots to win. But certainly it would certainly behoove us to do that.
After the game the other night, you said that your team it's been a tiring 2 weeks.
Yeah.
What does that look like to you?
Well, without dwelling on negatives, I mean, we've had a lot happen in the last 2 weeks, and so with that, I think comes a mental fatigue that makes physical fatigue more draining. So, you know, when your mind's sharp and fresh and those sorts of things, usually your body has a better chance to follow. And that's what I mean by that. I didn't mean anything, you know, that it's not anything major or anything like that. And then you kind of couple that with these are the dog days of every season in addition to that. So you're kind of going through the dog days, then you had a little bit more stuff going on emotionally than most. And so certainly you can kind of feel run down and tired. But I think this week was good for us. You know, good thing about playing on Monday, if you get the win, you got some time to regroup a little bit. And, you know, we've had a chance to do that.
The times that you're not shooting threes well, I mean, Devon has always been able to drive it to the hole. Marcus downhill, and now Oach and Christian seem to be following suit. Can you talk about the ability for, you know, all your guards to do that? Does Doak have something to do with that?
Oh, yeah. Well, Doak has a lot to do with everything. You know, the thing about it is, I don't think we'll ever really know the value of Udoka being in the game until he's not here, and you realize that, well, they can guard a ball screen differently. They have to, you know, get less shots because they got to dive harder, or you're getting the bonus quicker, or you know, there's so many things, or they don't attack the lane as much. There's so many things that he does from a physical presence standpoint that I think makes other teams game plan for it. So I think he has a lot to do with everything that's going on. But you could also say the same about other players, their role in which they play. But I think Udoka has as big a role as affecting the other players positively as they could ever have affecting him positively. You know, you could say when Svi and Devontae and Malik were here, you know, they stretched it so much to make sure that he was always guarded one-on-one. Well, you can look pretty good if you're never, you know, trapped, or you can't dive on them or stuff like that. So those guys really helped Doak in that way. Where this year we haven't shot it consistently well enough. But I do think this. I do think that we're capable. We're good shooters. We will, and when that happens, you're going to see a much more efficient group out there. In large part because I think Doak will be getting more touches tight.
What's impressed you about TCU and what they've done so far this year?
Well, you know, the Okie State got them last night, and of course that was going to happen to somebody, you know. You know, they lost a lot from last year as well, but they're as much as we are playing for round one. And you know, Kevin, I think, is one of the best. You know, he's one of the best post players in our league without question. He has a really bright future. And Bain, you know, is probably as good a wing scorer as we have in our league. So, and they shoot a ton of threes, and you know, they make their fair share of threes too. So, I like their team. I mean, they're right there on the cusp with so many teams in our league that if they have a good second half, they're definitely in the tournament. If they don't, you know, who knows what happens. So it's an important game for them, and certainly it's important for us to keep you know, keep striking distance with Baylor.
Anything else?
How big is this road trip?
Both of them, yeah. This at TCU at West Virginia, you know, of course you could say this every week, but this is probably as important this week as we had to set up really major games later. I mean, these games, they all add up the same, and these games are as major as anything, but usually the ninth inning is magnified more than the fifth inning in a baseball game, and it's kind of the same way in any league race as well. We saw firsthand the fourth quarter is a little bit more magnified than the second, you know, this past weekend, but in order to put yourself in the best position, we need to play our best right now, and you know, you're not looking ahead, but obviously you can look at your next two games, and the next two games is pivotal, and where we'll end up in the league race.
kind of a big picture question in college basketball. It seems like some of the road environments you guys have faced haven't necessarily been maybe as juiced this past years. Is that your perception too? And do you think that's something that's just going on with the sport?
I don't know. I think that I think some of the venues that we played in hasn't had, maybe juice is the right word. You play Iowa State when the students aren't there. Things like that make that environment so good, and the students aren't there. I can't speak to everybody, but I would venture to bet that our away environments moving forward, you won't be asking the same question, 2 weeks from now because of TCU, and TCU will be full regardless. I mean, TCU will be sold out. It's a smaller venue, but there's going to be 7,200 or whatever there. West Virginia will be sold out and crazy. Texas Tech will be sold out and crazy. Baylor will be sold out and be crazy. And there's one more game on there that will be sold out and be craziest. I think they're all going to be really good moving forward.
Just a little off topic here, but like a minute before you walked in here, Andrew Wiggins got traded to the Warriors. I'm just curious if you have any thoughts on that.
I heard that walking down. Of course, that had been rumored for a while, but yeah, I think it's great. It's not going to obviously pay dividends for him this year as far as, getting a chance to play deep in the playoffs and things like that. But you get Wiggs out there along with Steph and Clay and Draymond. To me, that looks like a pretty good quartet to play with. So I'm real excited for him, and he's had a really good year this year. He scored the ball and everything, but I think the T-Wolves had lost 13 in a row. So I'm sure that'll be nice for probably a scene change, even though he told me he really liked Minneapolis. And then did Marcus get traded as well? Anybody heard? Because I flipped on the TV walking down here and it said Marcus Garrett to the Clippers. So
Marcus Morris.
Might be Marcus Morris. See, I love Marcus Garrett. but did
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. So is today the last day?
Yeah.
So maybe that won't happen. But I had heard. I thought I saw where Mook was on the shelf too. But I guess that hadn't happened yet.
Could you talk about the Big 12 halfway into it? Certainly, two potential number 1 seeds, number 3 and 4 could be very high seeds in the tournament.
Yeah, it's I really think that the appearance, and appearance doesn't mean it's how it is, but the appearance of our league, I think in recent years was that the parity, and it was so middle heavy. Like there's no difference between 2 and 10 or whatever, or between 3 and 10. This year, I think the appearance, not saying it's true, is a little bit different because of Baylor's success, and we've had a decent run. And then West Virginia, if you look at their national stats, I mean, they're like 7th or 8th in the net. So that's 1, 4, and 7 in all out of our league in the net. So it gives the appearance of being more top heavy, which I don't necessarily believe is true either, but it's just an appearance. And there's so many teams in our league that are right on the cusp. If they finish strong, they'll get in. If they don't, they may not. But our league is good. But everybody's chasing Baylor. But Baylor didn't have a 1-game lead on us. They've got more than a 1-game lead on us because they won here. And so that basically puts you a lot of pressure on them, on you to win there. But more importantly, you just don't want to create more separation, because I can't see them losing. I think Baylor is as good a team that we've played against since I've been in the league. I really do. I don't think that we can look back and say that even Texas Tech last year, when we played them at the time, I thought Texas Tech really got really special after the season was kind of over, into postseason. And then I thought, even with the great Texas teams and so many teams that have gone, Oklahoma went to the Final Four a few years ago, on January the 6th or whatever today is, I don't think that we've seen a team in our league since I've been here as good as the Baylor Bears on February 6th at this particular moment. So they're not going to lose much. I mean, you've got to, and I'm talking about teams that we played against. So you're not going to they're not gonna lose much, so you certainly don't wanna put yourself in a situation where they're creating more separation, because I think they're rock solid, I do.